Meghan and Prince Andrew. Can you even imagine those two names in the same sentence? I know, it sounds impossible, almost absurd. Meghan Markle, the Hollywood actress who married into Britain's most ancient family, and Prince Andrew, the disgraced son of the late Queen Elizabeth II, a man who has lived under shadows of scandal for decades. They're supposed to be worlds apart, but then, boom, Tom Bower drops the receipts. Little scraps of history, faces in odd places, timelines that overlap when they shouldn't. And suddenly a whisper starts creeping into the air. Were Meghan and Andrew secretly connected as far back as 2012? The thought alone makes you freeze. Hooking up since 2012? It sounds outrageous. It sounds like something you dismiss with a laugh. But once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And when you retrace Meghan's steps, the trips, the parties, the circles she slipped into, you start to notice her path crossing Andrew's world again and again. This isn't random gossip. These are receipts, timelines, people who remember, and once you piece it together, you realize Meghan's innocence may have been the most powerful performance of her life. Picture this. Meghan is standing with Harry at Buckingham Palace next to the Queen herself, and she leans in, sweet as ever, and whispers, "Who's that standing next to your grandma?" The man in question? Prince Andrew, the Queen's son, Harry's uncle, a man whose face has been splashed across British papers for decades. Yet Meghan wanted us to believe she had no idea who he was? Please. To Harry, it probably sounded adorable. His girlfriend treating the Queen like just another grandma. But when you pull back the curtain, that innocent act doesn't look so innocent anymore. Because the deeper you dig into Meghan's past, the harder it is to believe she didn't know exactly who Andrew was. That simple question wasn't ignorance, it was a performance. And Meghan was already a master at playing the part she needed in any room. Before Meghan Markle was a duchess, she was a hustling actress. She wasn't A-list, not even close. But she was laser focused on one thing: access. A British journalist who met her years before Suits described her perfectly. Quiet, low-key, but absolutely determined to get her name in the press. She wasn't shy about it. She wanted British coverage. She wanted headlines. She wanted a way in. At that meeting, she spilled little details about her divorce, her dating struggles, even football star Ashley Cole. But when the journalist pushed too close to Cole's messy reputation, Meghan's smile cracked, like she'd been caught playing a game she didn't want exposed. Even then, Meghan wasn't just networking. She was testing doors, trying to see which ones open to power. And soon, her path crossed names tied directly to Andrew's world. Enter Ewan Alash. Not a household name, but in certain elite circles, his presence is undeniable. A billionaire, a global traveler, a man whispered about as one of Prince Andrew's close associates, the one who reportedly lured Andrew into trips to Thailand long before the Epstein scandals erupted. And guess whose story overlaps with his? Meghan's. At Northwestern, Meghan was part of a sorority. Normal college life, right? Wrong. Friends remember her vanishing for weeks at a time, returning with tales of yacht trips, Mediterranean adventures, and glittering weekends with people who had more money than God. And the name that kept surfacing in the background? Ewan. Coincidence? Maybe. But then Meghan herself casually admitted to traveling to Thailand in 2001. The timing lines up eerily close to Andrew's own visits. Years later, rumors and photos placed her near Karina Shalak, Epstein's girlfriend, and other faces that orbited Andrew's world. Individually, the details might sound flimsy, but piece them together, and Meghan isn't just brushing against Andrew's circle, she's practically orbiting it. On paper, Meghan's resume looks polished. Theater degree? Check. Internship at the US Embassy in Argentina? Check. But right after that, a curious blank. University records confirm she enrolled in a 3-month program in Spain. Yet Meghan never once spoke about it. No Instagram throwbacks, no interviews, no sentimental stories about host families or paella dinners. Nothing. Why? Because according to old sorority friends, those 3 months weren't about study abroad. They were about yachts, private villas, and circles of influence way beyond an ordinary student's budget. At the time, people thought she exaggerated. But once names like Ewan Alash and Andrew's billionaire set started popping up in the same locations and timelines, those wild stories started sounding frighteningly specific. So, what exactly was Meghan doing during those months she erased from her own narrative? Fast forward to 2012. Meghan is on Suits. She isn't the lead, not even close. She's background noise, a side character with a handful of lines. Yet somehow she's flying business class to Hong Kong, rubbing shoulders with high-level media figures, being treated like she's the star of the show. And then, the strangest twist, an interview with Diva Universal. Meghan casually mentioned that royalty was around. Not royalty in general, not some vague blue bloods. No, she specifically name-dropped Prince Andrew. And guess what? Andrew was confirmed to be in Hong Kong at that exact same time. Here's where it gets wild. That interview has vanished, wiped clean off the internet as if it never existed. Why erase it if it was nothing? Why bury bury it if it was innocent. Witnesses swore Meghan and Andrew circulated in the same lounges, the same dinners, the same exclusive gatherings. No headline photos, no official record, just whispers. Just enough to set off alarm bells. By 2015, Meghan wasn't an A-lister, but she wasn't a nobody either. She had carved out a strange position, always showing up in the most exclusive spaces without ever being the main attraction. Take Istanbul, the grand opening of Soho House, a glittering event that pulled in elites, royals, and Hollywood stars. Meghan managed to sneak into the group photo with Eddie Redmayne. The Daily Mail ran the shot, but here's the kicker. They listed everyone's name, except hers. She was literally erased from the caption, present but invisible. And who was behind Soho House? Ron Burkle, a billionaire with deep ties to Andrew's circles. The same Burkle who allegedly flew Meghan privately to Jamaica for a wedding. The overlap is uncanny. Meghan wasn't just networking. She was being ushered into rooms where every handshake could open another door. Doors tied directly to Andrew's world. It wasn't just parties. Meghan's presence slipped into Andrew's darkest orbit, the yachts. There's a photo. Meghan in a white Panama hat lounging on the deck of a Mediterranean yacht. She's smiling, casual, surrounded by names that set off alarms years later. Karina Sholok, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, was there. Epstein himself was reportedly nearby. And yes, accounts suggest Prince Andrew may have joined at some point during that route. This wasn't paparazzi chaos. This wasn't a staged red carpet shot. It was quiet, private, the kind of scene that only leaks years later when people start piecing receipts together. Once again, Meghan was right there, present but not prominent. Always part of the circle, but never the headline. Meghan also slipped into fashion's elite orbit. She attended Fashion Week, mingled at Royal Ballet events, wore designer labels connected to Weinstein's ex. To the press, she wasn't a TV star. She wasn't introduced as actress Meghan Markle from Suits. She was credited simply as model actress. And that's the tell. Meghan wasn't rising naturally. She was being placed, guided. Someone was pulling strings, ensuring she had access to the most powerful spaces. And again, those strings kept leading back to the same orbit, Andrew's circle of billionaires, insiders, and power brokers. Then came Jamaica. Harry was there, flying commercial like any other royal on a budget. Meghan, she arrived in style, on a private plane, courtesy of Ron Burkle. The guest list was royal heavy. Eugenie, Fergie, and yes, Prince Andrew himself. But search for photos, you'll find none. Andrew, Fergie, Eugenie, completely scrubbed from the official record, as if their presence had to be hidden. Meanwhile, Meghan once again slid right into the circle, there, but unacknowledged, seen by insiders, invisible to the public. This wasn't luck. This was choreography. Someone shielding her, someone erasing her footprints, someone ensuring she could move in and out of royal-adjacent spaces without leaving a trace. By now, the pattern is undeniable. Meghan's rise wasn't random. It was a calculated drift. One yacht, one gala, one Soho House party at a time, straight into Andrew's orbit. From Hong Kong interviews that mysteriously disappeared, to yacht trips with Epstein-linked names, to weddings where royals were present but erased, Meghan was always in the room, always near the power, always brushing against Andrew's world. So when Tom Bauer finally drops his receipts and whispers turn into a question, were Meghan and Andrew linked since 2012? It isn't about one rumor. It isn't about one blurry photo. It's about a decade-long pattern of access, presence, and erasure. That sweet act of, who's that man next to your grandma? Maybe it wasn't innocence after all. Maybe it was the sharpest performance of Meghan's career.